Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to tell you about some fantastic fragrances I've been wearing recently. Some of these I've not worn in a while, so it was really nice to dust them off. Stay tuned to find out what I've been spraying and loving. Most of the time when I make videos for YouTube, I make list videos because it feeds the algorithm. They're the videos that seem to get the views, and they're fine. I enjoy making those vids, but now and then I like to make a video about what I've actually been wearing because I chose to wear it. I wasn't testing it, I wasn't researching it for a video. There are times here and there, not many of them, but sometimes I get to choose a fragrance that is nothing to do with a video, even though I am talking about it in this video. But when I chose to wear these fragrances, it was because I wanted to, because I love them and I hadn't worn them in a little while. So here they are. I'm going to start with a true but sad story. Last week I got screwed. I got a screw in my car tyre, punctured it, had to go and take it to get repaired. Obviously, being a frag head, I had to choose a scent of the puncture repair. I was going to quick fit, I was going to be speaking with a receptionist, maybe some of the mechanics. Had to be smelling good. I thought, what would mechanics in a car garage love to smell? Knowing that Oud for Greatness is a very sexy scent, I decided to go for that one. I doused myself in it. I was smelling great. This is an insanely good, woody, spicy, sexy fragrance. I walked in to the quick fit reception area, spoke to the guy, Chris, on the desk. He didn't mention anything about my fragrance. He didn't comment on it. He didn't compliment me. It's strong stuff. He must have been smelling it. I think maybe he would have felt uncomfortable complimenting me on my fragrance. But I know that I was smelling damn good. My wife loves this fragrance. I remember Demi Rawling wearing this fragrance when I met her in New York. She came into a store and she said, "Chris, can you smell Oud for Greatness? I'm wearing it. What do you think?" Because she absolutely adored it. And I smelled Oud for Greatness for the first time on Demi Rawling. So I've got some good memories associated with this fragrance. But away from the glamour of New York and Demi Rawling, I left my key with the quick fit receptionist and I walked to a nearby Waitrose cafe, strolled in there, Oud for Greatness pumping off me like a god, ordered my coffee, and the lady on the till didn't mention anything about Oud for Greatness, didn't get a compliment. I think it was the aroma of all the coffee that she was making probably getting in the way, but no compliments there. And as I got to the table, I actually spilled my coffee all over the table. Kind of did it on purpose because the lady with the cloth was nearby. I said, "Oh, sorry, I've spilled my coffee on the table. Do you mind giving it a wipe?" And she came over and I thought, this is it. This is the moment. She's close to me. There's no coffee aromas. She doesn't work in a car garage. She's going to be mentioning this. She wiped the table. Do you know what she said? "Don't spill any more coffee. I'm not coming back." And that was it. Anyway, so I sat in there for an hour, smelling good, enjoying my smell. Doesn't matter if anyone's complimenting you, does it? If you know you smell good, that's good enough for me. My scent of the puncture repair and a Waitrose cafe was Oud for Greatness. Haven't worn this in a minute. Absolutely love it. If you've not tried this, incredible scent for males and females. Super sexy, very high quality. The next day didn't start off so well either because I decided to throw a glass bottle of maple syrup all over the floor. All you Canadians out there, you're going to be feeling me right now because I'm sure many of you have dropped a glass bottle of maple syrup all over the kitchen floor. It's a nightmare because all the maple syrup's all in with the glass and there's bits and pieces everywhere. Went in the dog's bed, the dog's water bowl, under the cupboards. Anyway, so after about an hour of cleaning up the maple syrup, the mop that I used to mop the floor reminded me of a fragrance. It was a nicely scented liquid I was using in the mop, and it made me think of Creed's original Santal, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to make myself feel better after this disaster, and I'm going to wear Creed's original Santal, which has a lovely, fresh, laundry kind of appeal. A little bit spicy, a little bit creamy, very similar to Mont Blanc's Individuel. Some say this is slightly better quality. To be honest, there's not much in it. For the price, I'd go for Individuel, but nevertheless, this is still a really lovely, very easy to wear Creed fragrance. For the rest of the day, we went out to the beach, went out to the coast, and it was pretty windy. So I wasn't really smelling this very much because the wind was just sort of whipping it off me. I got a few minutes of enjoyment when I first sprayed this on, and that was about it. But it was funny how the mop cleaning fluid reminded me of Creed's original Santal. Do you have that? Do you smell something? Do you come across a smell and it triggers an association with a fragrance that you own and you feel compelled to have to wear that fragrance? Well, if ever you drop maple syrup and you end up mopping up the floor, you need a bottle of this in your collection. New day, new scent. On this day, I was booked to do a voiceover, so I decided to wear a pretty mass appealing fragrance. I was going into cafes, I was going on a train, I was going in a very small voiceover area, so I didn't want to wear anything too complex or obnoxious, something just pretty crowd pleasing. So I went with 1 Million Royal. This fragrance surprised me a little bit. It is a very nice, ambery, spicy, aromatic lavender scent. Did about 30 sprays, walked into Costa Coffee, ordered my coffee, and I'm thinking, here we go. This is where the compliments of the week start. Crowd pleasing, mass appealing, designer, nothing. You know, I think it's a cafe thing. I think it's the coffee smell. It's so strong that people working in a cafe just aren't gonna compliment you on your fragrance. If only they could get rid of the coffee smell in cafes, then maybe we'd get more compliments. Got on the train, nothing. Got to the voiceover place, nothing. The sound engineer was literally half a metre away from me, if not closer, as he was adjusting the microphone. Nothing. Not one mention or compliment. Gutted. Sat on a very crowded train on the way home, right next to some guy. Sat next to him. I was a few centimetres away from him. Nothing. But again, I enjoyed it, I loved it. I actually was pleasantly surprised, and the reason I was pleasantly surprised, couple of reasons actually. Performance was good. This lasted a decent 7 or 8 hours, I would say, and it didn't seem to fade away. It's quite a strong fragrance, and I wasn't expecting that because I've recently tried 1 Million Elixir, which I enjoyed. I think it's a nice fragrance, although I don't think it is that distinctive. I don't think it is as interesting or complex. So out of those two latest 1 Million flankers, I would say Royale is my favourite. Elixir is good, but blends in with the generic designer, mass appealing sort of vibe, whereas I felt Royal just elevated a little bit above that. It was better than average. Glad I've got it. Thing is though, if you can't get compliments from a Paco Rabanne, I'm gonna have to just start wearing fragrances for me, and not for compliments. Yeah, right. On the next day, I had an amazing fragrance wearing opportunity. 2 opportunities, because I was going to watch theatre. 2 different theatre plays. Both my daughters had plays at school. I decided for this occasion I needed to wear an event fragrance. I was a little bit worried wearing this fragrance that I might upstage some of the kids performing. People might have been more interested in me and my fragrance and throwing all the compliments at me. It's Sauvage Elixir. The reason I was worried about upstaging these kids is because it is a fantastic, robust, strong, assertive head turner. Wore this for the first play. Unfortunately, no heads were turned in my direction. All the audience was just fixated on the kids watching the play. They weren't bothered about me. They didn't care. Bit gutted. Strong, attention-grabbing fragrance. This is a head turner. Didn't happen. Second play, Matilda. Bigger audience, bigger production. I thought, surely this time, more people around me, more people to impress. The production started. Everyone's facing the stage, just watching the kids again. And I'm sitting there, just reeking of Sauvage Elixir, and you know if you've sprayed, this is strong stuff, this is good. I love this stuff. And I'm sure everyone in the auditorium, the hundreds of people, were probably thinking, damn, it's a good smell, whoever's wearing that. But so many people, no one probably knew it was me, so they didn't know to come to me to compliment me on my fragrance. Again, I had to go uncomplimented. This week is not going well for compliments. On the next day, another event. This time, it's a haircut. Fresh trim, right? I am happy to report I got a compliment off Emma. She doesn't always mention my fragrance, but when she does, I know that she likes it. And the fragrance I was wearing is Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver Parfum. Slightly heavier than the EDP, not drastically different. You probably don't need both. The EDP is a little lighter, a little more citrusy, a little more sparkling. This has more richness, more depth, more gravitas. It's a little bit stronger. Very clean, refined, sophisticated. This would be a great event scent, a good formal occasion scent, or even a a haircut scent. The interesting thing that Emma said though about this, which didn't occur to me, I don't get this, but obviously she did. She said, Chris, are you wearing a fragrance or are you wearing sunscreen? I said, well, I don't wear sunscreen to have my hair cut, so I guess I'm wearing a fragrance. She said, yeah, it just reminded me, there's something about it that reminded me of sun cream. But she did say, I really like it. Finally! Compliment time. Felt good, felt good. It'd been a long week up until that point. Fragrances that I was sure I was gonna get complimented on. It took Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver Parfum. So if you are looking for a bona fide, nailed on, absolute banger of a compliment getter, all the compliments, then Grey Vetiver Parfum, especially if you're going for a haircut. I had the pleasure of going to an Italian restaurant this week. Very nice, local Italian restaurant. I had to go for an Italian fragrance. One of the best Italian fragrances I have, and I thought, this is sure to get me compliments. Wearing this fragrance in an Italian restaurant, I mean, this is the sort of fragrance that gets complimented left, right, and center by anyone. But with this being an Italian fragrance and Italian people working in an Italian restaurant, nailed on compliments. Xerjoff's Naxos. Sweet, almost sticky honey, rich tobacco, and a lovely aromatic lavender with a few bits of citrus in there just to elevate things. Walked into the Italian restaurant, right? Sat down, the waitress came around the table to take the drinks order, and I'm thinking, here we go. This is it. This is where the Italian person notices the stunning Italian scent. She was asking us all for our drinks order. She came to me and I said, I'll have a bottle of Peroni, please. And she said, okay, that's what I'll get you. And she wrote it down on a pad. And then she moved on to the next person and didn't mention anything about Xerjoff's Naxos. Again, there were coffee aromas knocking around in there. There was the smell of food. There were other scents and fragrances of the food and drink in there that may have just been masking this a little bit. I was enjoying it. I was getting lovely wafts, but in terms of getting compliments, restaurants are another place perhaps you don't want to wear fragrances because I couldn't believe it. No compliments on Naxos? What? Last one. This is a fragrance that I hadn't worn in a while. You know, I mentioned at the start of the video, there were a few that I had to dust off. I love this fragrance. It's not by choice that I decided to not wear it for a while, but I was just browsing my collection. I'm always drawn to the Dior section. And I thought, which Dior have I not worn for a little while? Dior Homme Cologne. This is a very nice, fresh, clean, simple, and uncomplicated fragrance, but oh, does it smell good. It was a hot, sunny day, hence why I decided to go with Dior Homme Cologne. Very bright, refreshing, citrusy. I was also watching my daughter's swimming gala. Recently, I've spent a lot of time in swimming pools. A lot of swimming happens in our family, and it's got me to thinking about what sort of fragrances I would wear in the humid environment of a swimming pool. Obviously, in a humid environment, you don't want to go for anything too obnoxious. You want to get a few compliments. You want all the other parents there that are sitting around you to come up to you, form a line and give you compliments one after the other. Didn't happen. They were just all watching the kids again. Whenever you're in a cafe and they're serving coffee, or you're at a school event where there are kids, you're not going to get compliments because people are too distracted by other things. Just putting that out there. If you're expecting compliments in those situations, wake up and smell the roses. I did, however, get a comment on this fragrance. It was from my daughter. She came up to me and she was walking around me and she's like, oh, what are you smelling of, Daddy? And she wasn't really saying whether she liked it or not, but she just kept saying, what is that smell? What is that smell? And in the end, she said, it's pepper. You smell of pepper. You smell really peppery. And even though it sort of wasn't a compliment, it was more a statement, I'm taking that as a compliment. Massive compliment from my daughter. If you like peppery, fresh, clean, invigorating, classy fragrances, then Dior Homme Cologne. So that's what I've been wearing. Love these, all great fragrances. What have you been wearing recently? Have you worn fragrances that you're absolutely convinced you're gonna get a compliment or two, or 10, 20? It's just a nailed on compliment getter. All the YouTubers have told you, you'll get so many compliments left, right and centre. Compliments all the time. But then nothing. Have you worn fragrances like that? You expect all these compliments, then none come? Let me know. I'd love to hear about your experiences. All right, I hope you found this video enjoyable. Again, something a little bit different, a little bit more informal and casual. If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, hit like. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do all that, I will give you a massive compliment next time I see you and smell your fragrance. Promise. See you in the next one. Bye.